Welcome friends, Funny Rangers here, and today it's Wednesday again, time for live coding sessions with me and the keyboard, and hopefully we've got an internet connection that works this time. In today's show I decided to mix things up a bit. We are going to do a Azure ARM helper together. Let's get started. Well, hopefully we have some nice music going. There we go. Are you guys having a good time? It's Thursday tomorrow. It's almost weekend, I suppose. Hopefully we will have some Azure guys joining us on the show tonight to do some awesome pair programming. To set the scene, let me change my screen to this one, for instance. Hey, Arthur. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. That was about, that's just now. Right. So what we were doing is I found this cool blog post from Justin who gave me some inspiration. Just to take a step back, ARM templates, what is that? Well, it's Azure's resource manager way of defining declaratively your Azure resources in a JSON file. Normally you just dump a JSON file in there and it then deploys whatever is in the JSON file. But the problem is it's JSON, which is quite alright, but the readability becomes an issue, especially when you are working with complex ARM templates. And if we look at our friends at Kubernetes and also Service Fabric Mesh, that's also bringing in this kind of deployment mechanism. They are using YAML to describe their ARM templates. And this great post by Justin who I just saw, this was posted last year on but you can actually use his little helper called YARM. It's like a CLI, and then it will allow you to convert. Let me just maybe zoom in here. Convert like JSON like this, the way around actually, have a YAML file like this and convert it to a proper JSON file which you can feed into your YAML deployment or to Azure ARM deployment. Which is quite interesting. It's got like a YAML CLI. Everything looks great. Here's a good example, but you can still see there's a schema and there's a content version and stuff like that I would like to be inferred. And it goes on saying that this is great. You just say a yarm I input file Azure deploy.yaml and output Azure deploy.json, and obviously the JSON file you will give to your release manager to actually push to Azure. And it goes on by saying you can test with Pesta and stuff like that. What is really interesting is that there isn't any native IntelliSense support in YAML, because it's just a normal YAML file. In Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, when you actually do JSON ARM templates, we have this schema that it validates against. So it sort of knows in itself how to validate it. But in YAML, we don't have that luxury. So in today's show, I thought, well, we're going to be trying to see if we can create a similar kind of tool, maybe something .NET-y kind of thing, .NET AZ, something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll try to look at the spec of Azure ARM, which I suppose you can, if my zooming is a bit out, you can go to google.com. It's not even loading. What's going on? Hopefully the stream is okay and the sound is okay. For the guys that's out there that's watching this, please ping me. If you just give me a heads up if you can hear this message. For some reason now, oh there we go, there's Google. I don't want to go to a smarter browser. Alright, so what are we looking for? We're looking for Azure ARM. Go to the docs, go away. And we can go to the concepts. Okay, music went down. Was that better? Hopefully the music is fine now. I can just maybe turn the music off completely, but that's like messes with my mojo. Perfect, nice. Alright, you guys can shout if there's anything wrong with the stream, you can check it out. I'm gonna focus on coding something cool. So the Azure Resource Manager, it has great documentation. Well, what we want to do is we want to go down to somewhere where there is the layout of deploying Azure ARM. Just want to see where it is because I've seen it somewhere here. Understanding the structure and syntax of the Azure ARM templates. Now, basically, it's a very simple thing. Actually, you have your template, and then we will just go through the spec and implement an object, and then have the YAML represent this object. And then I was thinking, have some defaults in the object itself, whereby we can have some things inferred without actually specifying them in a YAML. And if you do want to specify them, you override it by specifying them. And then the main aim, it should spit out a a proper JSON file which we can import directly. And then what we want to do then is maybe make it part of the deployment, relay the deployment through this tool. So I can go AZ or .NET AZ deploy and give it a YAML file. It will convert and deploy the JSON file. So let's see, let's play around and see what we can come up with. Okay, I think what we need is some kind of terminal. Let's say .NET new console just to get the things going. Okay, that's fine. And let's see what was generated here. So it's now an awesome, just a normal C# .NET Core application. Eventually when it opens up, it's kind of weird because I cannot hear the music, and hopefully there's cool tunes playing. So if there's like something playing it's not supposed to be playing, I forgot to switch on the slides. Make me look pretty. Here we go. There we go. Lights are on, and now you can actually see me, I suppose. Okay. Right, so let's go ahead and do a sort of simple representation of this object. So we have this object here. Let me show you something cool. Did you know you can copy JSON? You probably knew that by now, and you can let's just maybe create a new class, split everything up and all that. Let's actually just paste it here as is. You can go edit, paste special, and paste JSON as classes. And what that will do is it will do what it says. It will paste the JSON as a class, and there we go. And then the root object, there's no way of actually it knows what the type is. So in this case, we can just rename it to deployment or something. Azure deployment. Let's call it a deployment template because it is a deployment template, right? Schema, content version. I wonder if we can leave this uppercase API like that, just to make it more readable. And resources there and outputs there. Okay, next one is what do we need? Parameters. So yeah, go to the parameters, and we have a couple of things here. So maybe just highlight the parameters. Why don't that will copy? So the parameters is a key value pair. So we can immediately see that it's a dictionary in this case. And there's no way of actually doing that in code because it's a dictionary. If this was proper, let me see how we can do that. We cannot type these kind of things. How would we do that? So we can infer it by specifying a type. Yes, of course. So the parameters is a dictionary of string and parameter, which is this one here. There we go. That's this parameter here. So yet again, we could copy this JSON, maybe delete this out and say paste the JSON. Oh, where is it? Space special. Cannot is invalid JSON. Oh, of course. Missing a bracket. Is there a shortcut for this space special? No, it's not. What? Not working. We've got this item leading up to that item, leading up to this item. This should work, right? This should be a valid JSON, according to me. It's not. Can you believe it? Is this valid JSON? Also not. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to VS Code, do some validation. Aha, good spot. Yeah, I didn't see that. But it's supposed to copy out the strings, right? So it's not supposed to take that. But let's just maybe stick this in here. Go Control N, paste that in there. Make sure this is JSON. Ah, okay. So this didn't have any values. So let's maybe give it values. It works better for me when I see it. So like that, min length, max length, and then technically this should work and paste. Very, very lazy. Very, very lazy. Okay, now let's try that again. Paste special, that should work. And that's my parameter. Right, so I've got the parameter. Why do we fix flotation type? No, cool, I can do that. Change style options, can I do that in a project? Oh, cool. This is quite cool. Yeah, no. Fix. Can that just apply to the whole document or something? It's not applying to the whole document. That's a bit sad. Let's have to do this. Control dot. Right, so that's the parameter going in. And what else do we have? We have the going back up again. Oh, does the parameter have any special things? No, it does not. Going back to main one, variables. It does not have any special things. Instead of, it's got, yet again, it's a dictionary of a variable values. And the value could be a it looks like the value could be a normal value, like a simple value. It could also be an object, and it can also be a object with special things in there, and it contains a copy. Very interesting. So regardless, the variables need to be a variable. Yeah, regardless, it has a. It's even on the same level. Copy. Can you believe it? That's a bit strange. So this copy is on the variable level there, and this copy is in that variable. I'm trying to see this. Let's copy this out, go to our trusty little VS Code, change some things around. Oh, let's just make this blank now. Count is, I don't know, 1 or something. Input. See, object or value to repeat. So this could be an object. This could be an object, so this, and I suppose this is also an object. So I could say that this is a copy object or something. Okay. So let's see, we have a copy object, so let me just see if I can get this going. So it can be a variable, definitely a string. So it's dictionary of string and variable. Like that was okay. And then each variable can have an object, which is, I think it's cool to leave it an object for now, because in essence this could be anything. This object could contain an array of a certain type. So maybe let's just call this string variable. The variable could be just an object, just to be sort of dandy about it. Do you guys agree? I think so. I think so. Right, so we don't really need the variable, but let's just skip that for now. It just gets too complicated. Alright, what do we want? Next we have functions. So functions are quite cool, it's quite simple. We have a function that is looking like this. So it's an array of functions, right? So hopefully we have it here as an array of objects. In this case it's functions. So we have name, members, unique name, and parameters, and output. Now what will happen if I just paste this in there? Okay, now I get duplicates, which is not bad. I think this is the same kind of parameter things. Okay, we've got namespace, which is a we'll just rename something like that. That's namespace. Members, that's an object, right? So members is an object. Can that contain more than one thing? Doesn't really say much about parameters, blah blah, functions. They don't really talk about, eh? Interesting. What's this? This is the resource. I actually skip it. Could this be that a function has a namespace and it has members, it has a unique name, that's the function's unique name, I suppose, which has parameters and output. Let's go for that, I would say. So members could be a key value store, or key value pair at least, of, is it? I have no idea. I have not used functions. So what we could do is we can also keep functions out of scope, because it's a bit, I think it's a bit annoying currently, to prove a point. We'll leave it that as an object array. And then it gets interesting at the resources, because the resources are quite cool, because we can have that. What is metadata? Metadata, is it used somewhere here? No. Oh, well, there's one reference where, oh, of course, in parameter. Let's paste the JSON as classes. This is a resource, and I'm just going to control dot all these items. So let's find a way of doing this rename all over, because it's silly to do it all line by line. Right. But also a resource can contain more resources, if I'm not mistaken. So, oh shoot, this is actually the one I want. Yeah, let's copy that. Paste it in here. Let's see, take this resource out. So quite a biggie. Don't think we need a CLI. Let's see, we've got some text. This is a key value based, so we'll remember that. Comments, count, 0. Actually, for all things that's typed, we can. This is an array of strings. Properties is also let's give the properties like that. I'm missing something now. Key, skew, name, tier, size, family, capacity, and then more resources. So I'm very interested if this paste as, what do you call it, paste as JSON, will it actually work? I've got some extra things going on here up until resource command clear. Let's say paste special, will this work? So this goes to plan, everything is fine. So root object is resource, and it's got a condition, an API version, it's got a type, it's got a name. What else? It's got a location, tags, comments, copy, whatever that means, depends on properties, skew. Wish there was a fast forward or something. Okay. Okay. So the cool thing is it does not recognize resource, so I would say have resource be resource, and etc, etc, etc. Okay, we've got tags. Let's start at the beginning. Tag, type of resource. Oh no, this is not tags. Tags associated with the resource, apply tags logically. So tags is a key value store, so we'll just do dictionary string. Where's my typing skills today? String, that's your tags. Keep it simple. And then what else do we have? We have all strings, we've got comments, we've got this copy object, which is a copy object there, which is also name. It's got name, count, mode. Probably can reuse that for later. Depends on is a string array, as it should. And then we have properties again. So properties, we said properties earlier. We have, didn't we say properties earlier? No. Okay, so properties is still a thing. So properties is, in my opinion, it's a key value pair of, because if we take a look at a typical resource, well, it does not have properties. Is there one? Let's look at an example. Let's look at the example. Go down. And it's a resource with properties. So it's got key value pair, and the key being, yeah, let's keep it like that. So the key being so we have a dictionary of string, and the value being an object. As easy as pie. Very easy. Let's keep it like that. Alright. Okay, what else do we have here? We've got properties, we've got skew, which is very simple. That's just a normal skew item. Kind is a normal kind thingy. Plan is also very simple, and resources. Plan, name, okay. Skew, okay, so let's include these ones. Oh, by the way, for this thing to pop up, I don't have it on screen, but you know, I do control dot, and it will do this IntelliSense thing in Visual Studio. So plan, we've got a promotion code, we've got a publisher, we've got product. And we've got version. Now, that's great. Tags not used. You can kill that. So what do we have here? With the deployment template that has, let's actually also go through it again. Syntax. Alright, so the parameter name, no, that's parameters. So where is the syntax thing? Yeah, so schema is required. Okay, but what we'll do is we'll default. I know maybe I'm a bit naughty, but let's default the schema to a default value, which we could override because it's got a set, right? Content version, that's also required, but we'll take any value. We'll just default that to 1.0.0.0. API profile, that's not required. API profile version, alright, so I don't know what that is. Yeah, parameters is not required, so let's go into the parameters part. And parameter name is required. Type. Allowed values are string, secure string, int, bool, object. Okay, so this is where we can actually make use of a kind of an enum. Not that it really matters, but I suppose will it matter? There's no intelligence, so it does not matter. This will be, if we validate this, this can be validated against the JSON anyway, so I'm not going to build it in. Right, so we've got type, which is compulsory, default value. Right, so we've got allowed values. What's that? Yep. So the rest is a not. Correct. Not required. So could we say that we infer the type to be string if we not specify the type at all? Or is it an object? What would you guys say? If we don't specify the type, is it a string or is it an object, or is it, what is it? I would go for object. Just to sort of make the flow happen. Because the chances of an object, of I don't know, chances that actually be a string is much higher, I would say. Maybe let's keep it string. Default value, an array of allowed values. Okay. Min value. Andrew, very interesting what you're doing. Have you tried Pulumi? They don't support C#, but TypeScript and others like Go. It's very cool. I've heard about Pulumi. I've not played with that yet. It sounds quite cool. I saw a blog post from Mikhail. Can't remember his surname, whereby he showcased Pulumi and how you can do inference code in sort of a TypeScripty kind of language. What I'm trying to do here is sort of build my own kind of Pulumi, I suppose, but more like make use of the underlying infrastructure that's still there and just make the developer experience much better, I would say. But yeah, Pulumi is very cool. We can maybe one day do a Pulumi, what do you call it, a Pulumi thingy. C# ARM. I'm not sure if I understand a question there, but I'm building a CLI that converts YAML to JSON, which will be provisioned by Azure. So I'm just making strongly typed objects based on the core JSON ARM template, and from there it gets serialized. Right, so I've got min value as now what's the, so yeah, So let's see, what is the max value and min value? Is there any defaults here? Because they don't specify defaults. Min, max, let's just maybe keep it blank. I don't know. I hate config files, yeah. Me too. So let's see if we can make the world a better place. Alright, I might be a bit delayed on your answers, but please just do nudge me or something, or hit me up on Twitter @FarneyRenders if you want to have any questions. Do follow me if you want to follow me on Twitter. So I suppose the stream that's live and the chat going out might be a bit behind, so bear with me. Okay, so that's that for the parameters, I suppose. Well, that's properties. Now parameters, is that the next one? Variables. Let's go back to variables, where they say variables needs to be variable definitions. Oh, no, that's different. What do I have here? At variables, we said variables is a normal rule that suits me. Functions is a normal object. Resources is a, you missed this one, resource object. Alright. And if we go back here to, what did I do? Well, darn. If we go back to resources, let's go to syntax, scrolling around like a mad thing. Alright, so we've got a condition which is not required. Suppose that's kind of a Boolean value that indicates whether the resource will be provisioned during the deployment. So that's a string because it can be an evaluation. Let's see. Why is YAML better than JSON for this, you'd say? Well, number one is the JSON has a schema, and it sort of forces us to adhere to that schema by defining certain things that's obvious, like version and stuff like that. I want it to be inferred. So I want to actually be, because YAML is actually a superset of JSON. So number one being not able to specify, wanting to specify the obvious things, and number two being super readable. I think it doesn't matter as long as it can be eaten by ARM CLI, I guess. So yeah, the idea is, let's just see how it goes. I'd like to go back to this blog post here. I mean, what is better, personally, would you say? Not looking at the majority of these defaults, this or JSON. I mean, let's see how it comes out, and if it's a mess, then it's a mess. If it's better, then the world's a better place, I would say. I'm a bit lost now. So we have a condition which is a string. This is a string API version. The version of the REST API to use for creating the resource. Determine values, see template reference. The API version is required, but how can it be defined? That is interesting, because this one we cannot infer, right? So because it's, or can we? We should specify that, because that's actually resource specific, I suppose. We when we maybe we maybe can define this further, making specific objects of a resource. So in this case we just have a normal base resource, but we could make a, I don't know, web app And depending on web app is serialized, depending on the type can be inferred, and the template version can be inferred. Maybe an enum with template versions. See, the problem with enums is I'm not trying to look too closely to the C#, because C# is just a vehicle towards the JSON. So the benefit of the enums won't really be there, because I won't be working with the C#. I will only be working with the YAML. So I don't know if that will maybe work. I don't know. So that's the API type. And this could also be an enum, but yet again, I don't deal with enums. But let me resolve this by having different namespaces. That's interesting. Yeah, so I suppose you can do that the same with the type, right? So this type that we have over here can also kind of resolve the type. And can, based on the text, it can resolve the class type, which will infer the version, maybe, of it. Let's see. Name is required. Location, I would say that's also required, but we can infer it from the parent or not. Supported geolocation of the resource. If you supported geolocations of the provided resource, you can select any of the available locations, but typically it makes sense to pick one that's closer to users. Usually it also makes sense to plan resources that interact. Most resource types require a location, but some types, like role assignment, don't require a location. Bummer. So resource we cannot infer. That's one of the things that's there, you know. But yet again, if you start building templates and link templates, this won't matter. Because especially when the resource is the same, the properties and validation might differ. So basically it's different C# type. Yeah, I agree. Tags not depends on not, everything else is not required, so that is good. Alright, so what do we have here now? We have a, going back to the syntax again, we still have outputs. So outputs has a key with a value object, so we can, let's say that's a condition. String condition, and another one called type, and another one called a value. And we singleize that, and we go back to the here and make a dictionary of string and output. Like that, and there you have it. Okay, so let's maybe, I need to sign off. Cool, have a good night, thank you for watching so far. I'm gonna continue, see if I can finish this, but thank you for joining in, author. Let's move that out. Let's also move this guy out. Is this possible to move it out? Move that out. Metadata move. Let's move that outside. Doop. Resource. Let's move that outside. Copy we can also move outside. Properties not used. queue, plan, output. Great. So now we've got a bunch of classes that we have, which is quite cool, right? Which will allow us to build a sort of ARM template from scratch. So let's test this out. Let's test this theory. I suppose there is not new item. I wanted to add a NuGet package. So we go to NuGet packages and see what else. I think there's YAML.net or something. YAML parser. What is the best YAML parser? I would say Netscape's YAML, Xamarin YAML parser. Isn't it YAML.net or something? Yeah, I think it's pretty much YAML.net. So what's the difference between, this was quite old. So we have this one. Let's just maybe use this one. Installing YAML.net. Cool, that's working. So what we'll do is we'll just, for now, assume that the arguments is the first one. And then what we can do is we can thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew. So what we can do is we can say we have this function. How does this work? The YAML.net thing. Let's find out. YAML.net. Come on, just go away. How do I use this? Is there a wiki? There's a wiki. Blah blah blah. Going to the samples page. Give me the code. Serializing an object. No, other way around. I want to deserialize an object. Or YAML to a thingy. So we have camel case naming convention. Cool. Well, that's quite cool, but that was the other way around. We have to go to an object. So we have to go to an object, or is that? No, we have jumping around. Let's see. How do I serialize normal? Okay, so that's document. So what will happen? String reader document input. Yes, this is what I want. So then I have a function. Let's maybe just encapsulate this out. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's say call this maybe a YAML file. Static, come on, go away. Void convert. What am I doing? I have no idea. And then we'll check these things in here, right? And then this is the document that it will pass in. Alright, Alright, so we've got a string reader, serialized builder, and we'll go for camel casing, naming convention, and what we'll do is we'll serialize this guy into a resource or a deployment template, which is the template, yeah. Okay, so also a string, and we can just return that template over there, right? So is that string, or is that, oh, that's an object. Okay, cool. So let's say convert to convert, and we'll deploy. So that's the object, so it's a template. Deployment template. Alright, and that's cool. And then we need to save our JSON template is a JSON convert. If I do have, I don't have that in. There we go. For some reason, that's much better. Confirm whether you have me hard enough, or loud enough, rather, because I can see the music going out, but I cannot really see if the levels is good here. Maybe I should just put the music at hot softer, or everything should be fine, right? Because I have no feedback in my ears. Yep, all good. Thank you very much, man. Where was I? So I need to serialize this in, and I need to return back to JSON template. So that's converting it. So we have a JSON, which is convert, and then we say there's the var YAML is file.read of text, give it a YAML file, and we say convert YAML to JSON, and we say, let's just go file dot write all text, and we just say template dot JSON. You could use the same name as the file, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Alright, so we have that. Okay, now a little trick: if you go to properties on your project and you go to debug, you can actually set some arguments. So what we'll have is we'll just have template.yaml and have that pass in, and then have it write out template.json. Right, so if we run this, or maybe I could just make it a tot easier, including, yeah, let's do that. Let's include a YAML file. Can you help my OCD and place the streams and friends in a using statement? I will do that now. Give me 1 sec. Template.yaml. Is it YAML or YAML? Does it matter? Does it matter? Streams and friends in a using statement. Now let's see. You mean the string reader? Because is it yeah, it's disposable. We can do that. Actually, it would be nice to have a using thing here, right? So we can say do whatever we need to do. Serializer, we've got the serializer, so we can actually move that up there. Do that. Is that better? Or am I missing something? Alright. Cool. So what we have is a YAML file. Yeah, of course. Well, it depends really. If you really want it to be disposable, but that's a discussion for something else. Okay, so what do we have? We have a let's test this. Let's give it a shot. We have a resource. So we're not specifying schema. We're not specifying content version. We're not specifying API version. What do we specify? Let's maybe just specify resources. Let's create a resource group. So we can say resources, and by pressing tab we can say each resource has a condition, okay, all these kind of things. So what is required, the absolute minimum that we need. API version. Okay, so we will just say API version. Maybe let's see if we can just create like a resource group. Or can you create a resource group in a resource deployment? Azure ARM template storage account. Let's create a storage account. Link templates. Okay, there we go. That's a good starting point. Alright, so we can actually use this as an example. Parameters. Okay, fine. What do we need? We're gonna add parameters in here. Let's add parameters in here to make it extra special. Parameters. Does that pop up? Really? Cool. And we can say, for instance, the parameters is we just infer the name. Just say name. Okay. And then we can say storage account name, and that's a type, which is let's just call it a string. The rest is not needed, right? So don't have that. API version. What do I need for this API version? So just use the. Is that the first of? Let's use that. Okay. No variables, no location. Okay, that's the location I pass in, which is cool. So we have type, which is storage account. First off, go with the name. Call this awesome storage. Funny awesome storage. Something like that. Should be great enough. Then we have a type, which is that. Location we need to fill in. Location. A5. Yeah, we will do that in a sec. West Europe, I would say. West Europe. SKU. SKU is name. I don't know. Standard something. See, we can also infer this if the type is storage. We can maybe see if we can infer these kind of things. But that's like playing around with things, with like the way Azure behaves. Yeah, let's also give it outputs. Why not? Outputs. And we say, great, the output is the storage account name. Look at that. And we have a type string. And we have the value, which is let's just say, what's that? This doesn't have variables. Okay, can we put in a variable? Let's put this whole thing to the test and see. Take the variables out. storage account name is that. Okay, so that's basically what I have, and it's a tad better readable. Yep. So technically, if I hit this button now, it will, it should not break, at least. If this ever becomes a serious project, split it in two. One for YAML C# objects and a second for C# to JSON. I additionally love to do a VM name and get it up and running, and running Azure from C#. If I'm not mistaken, Azure has a C# support, so Azure C# extensions, C# or something. It should be possible. I've seen it somewhere, but let me get back to you on that one. I've seen it somewhere. This is actually a very good post. What is this guy doing? Yeah. I've seen somewhere in the SDK or something with extensions. It has objects and stuff, but let's keep it one thing. But you have a good point. If we split it up, if it doesn't exist, we could definitely take a look at making that work. So did this thing now run and work? Well, it didn't break. It didn't do anything. Gave you an error. That's so sad. Did it break? Oh yeah. Well, I missed that error now. While scanning for the next token, find character cannot start with any token. What does that mean? While scanning for the next token, find character cannot start with any token. Line 2, column 1. Well, line 2, column 1, which is line 2, it's probably this. I suppose. Isn't it? Because you have parameters and then you have type. Is this valid YAML? Am I doing? Am I even doing valid YAML? I don't know anymore. Go back here. So this guy didn't have it. Using two spaces, maybe. Maybe that's instead of tabs, but that should not matter, right? Or should it? I'm not sure what you mean by show template. Let's see. Go like that. Go like that. Run this again. Will this work? Now I get a different error, which is better. If you add dashes, it implies that the parent is a list, so no dashes. A YAML file use spaces as indentation. Cool, good. That's good to know. Line 9, column 3. What is on line 9, column 3, which is 2, 3, yeah, cool. Okay, I think I know what the problem is here. And that's supposed to be that. I'll try it next time. I'll try to do a stream that has instant live instead of having the delay. Line 9, column 3. Line 9. Okay, and they say, what did they say? Expected sequence start got mapping start. No, you're not annoying at all. You're actually helping me. Thank you very much for that. How can I solve this? What is this whole thing up? Why is this breaking? Column 9, this is very critical. Can you try only having one space instead of 2 or 3? Well, will that help? Will that help actually? I don't know. Makes the things a tad difficult to read still. Let's see. I should be able to use spaces. I got tabs as well. Okay, now line 3, column 8. Exception during deserialization. Invalid cast from string to parameter. Okay, so it is trying to convert it to a parameter. I just want to run this again and see. Line 3, column 8. Maybe it does not match. Line 3, column 8, which is type as a string. To parameter. To do that type thingy. Line 9, column 2. Something with name. There's something with name that's not adding up. Aha. That is the thing that we need to do, because it is a resource. Right, so that's what I was missing the whole time, I would say. How does the spaces work? So it's 1, 2, 1, 2. Will that work? Let's see. Line 14, column 6. Oops. 14. Let's put that one there. Right, so how does it know now? Skew. Skew name, tier, size, family, and all that kind of things. Okay. Yeah, definitely the schema, but the fact is it does not even go to a template. property kind not found on type SKU. Oh, okay. Kind is not found on the SKU. No, well, that's weird because apparently kind is on the SKU. I agree. Oh, you know what? Kind is not part of the SKU. Part is not kind of SKU. What we'll do is we'll go back here. One like that. Around it again and see. That kind of worked. Hopefully. I've got a JSON file. Can you believe that? And I present to you, friends, I've got a JSON schema. How about that? Now, the thing is, this JSON schema and this YAML file, which one would you prefer? Okay, let me just first see if it works. Because if it does not work, trouble. So there's this JSON file. So let's see. How can we deploy this guy? Store. Cool. So what do we have here? We have the resource group ID, storage account name, but we're not using it. I suppose I could still use it, right? Noise. I prefer C# though. No, you will see now in a sec what I mean. This thing is still a bit shaky. Let's go back. Where is this? Alright, so we have a... That I will do definitely. I will do that now. Let me just see, this variable is not used anyway. Oh, it's used at the SKU. And it's a type we pass in, not a name. Count type. Type. And the name, the SKU. So SKU is the variable, right? Okay, so we'll just give it a default value. Default value of whatever that is. And we'll say this is, I must my IntelliSense now. Parameters, that guy, no, storage account name. That's got limited support for IntelliSense or type. Getting there. Default value is that. Run it again. Going back here. It did not update. Did it? No, it did not update. Am I missing something or what? Let's see. That's opening up the YAML. And this is the JSON, and this is what I want, parameters there. So what we could do is, because things are not compulsory for certain things, we could just leave them out. That's the JSON part of things. And I believe there is a JSON setting for that. This is a about JSON settings. New JSON. JSON serializer settings. Is that the null value? Yeah, but there's you can do the formatting. I want indented. There is also a null value handling. Ignore. There we go. That's how we do it. Now we do JSON settings, and if we run this guy again, going back to template, yeah, it doesn't reload the template though, but which is fine. All the nulls are white, so that's far more user friendly. So now let's see. Actually, let's actually do this. Open up Git. Do I have AZ? I've got AZ installed here, right? So I can go AZ. Do I have AZ? Should have it. It looks like I have it. I hope I have it. And I do think so. I have it. Come on. It does reload, just to modify it without saving it now. Cool. Alright, so now let's try and copy from that. How does this actually, let's I've got something else that I want to show you. In here, deploy.azcli, which is quite cool, is an extension for VS Code to deploy Azure extensions or Azure resources. I can search the marketplace, it will pick up the Azure CLI tools. There we go. I need to install that, and it will allow me to provision Azure from VS Code using the Azure CLI syntax. Alright, so let's try that. So you said I must do that, right? But check this out. I can go AZ, and it has IntelliSense. So I can go ACR, I can go build all these things. This is quite cool. So I have a blog post on this, playing around on renders.co. It's called the Handy Global Tool, whereby I talk about you have AZ, but there's no way of combining them as one command. So I did a sort of a one command thingy to execute more than one command. So just maybe go read that out if you are interested. So we need to say Azure deployment validate, but how do I template file? So the template file I want to try to validate is the template.json. Alright, so I can go there and I can say run in editor. Okay, and what does that do? Oh, yeah, it's actually quite cool. It actually, deployment error, following required the resource. Okay, I don't have a resource group, so which will just quickly, let's just AZ group create. Resource group name is awesome. Awesome group, for instance. Location is West Europe, but I'm not sure what my subscription is. Can I say easy login or something? Easy account. What's that? Easy account list. So many things. Which one is the default one? That's not default. That's not default. Okay, so the sponsorship is default. That's the Azure one. Okay. Alright, so let's create a resource group. Cannot create it. Name. That's what I specified. That's really what I specified. Let's run this in terminal because it's much easier to read. Yes, that succeeded. So what I'll do now, I'll just quickly go up and up, open up the portal, just to prove that these things. There's a black key mark. Little thing that's bothering me in the code there, but in any case, what do we have here? We have got resource groups. We've got awesome groups, just to prove there's nothing in this resource group, right? So the idea is that we can go run in terminal. That should validate the template. Okay. Resource group. Associate G. Awesome group. Okay, and then we say run in terminal again to see if it works. The request was invalid, did not find parameter one member schema. Okay, so this is interesting because the thing is not properly done yet. So what we do, we need to remember to set the resource as a schema, right? The resource, we need to look deployment template. Yeah, and it has a dollar, so we need to say JSON property. Resolve that, and we say this is actually schema, like that. And now, if we run it, we should have the schema in the JSON. Going back here, going back there, there's the schema, which is what we want. Let's do another validate. Deployment validation failed. The provider properties for the deployment parameter storage account type is not valid. Only int type parameters can specify. Okay. We could make it nullable. We could make them nullable. So what we have is a parameter. We'll make them nullable. Like this, and we'll have a resource that has a copy. Does that also have int? Let's make that nullable. Go back. Skew, what's that? Capacity. Plan and resource. Alright, so now technically, when I run this now, it should still have all the values in JSON, except, oh, there's cool, there's actually content version is not allowed. Why not? Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, let's fix that. Camel casing. Camel casing. Is that is what is that? Is that the camel casing thing? Let's see. JSON.NET camel case. I've done this before. Okay, so default contract resolver. Let's stick that in there. Okay, go control dot, and we need to make the contract resolver. We need to make the contract resolver, and that is all she wrote, I believe. Okay, now going outside, going in again just to reload. Everything looks fine. Let's now validate again and see if this works. It has failed. Let's see why. Did not. Well, it's not valid. Storage account name must be between 3 and 24 characters length and must be lowercase characters only. But that's a simple thing. Yet again, we could infer by having typed resources. So let's do this. Run again. Is this what I'm doing entertaining at all or not? Because it's been a while. So let's see, storage account name. Everything should be fine. Yeah, well. So let's do that again. And that should work, hopefully. Hopefully. And look at that. Look at that. Succeeded. Can you believe it? That's how easy it is to do things. So if I don't want to deploy, how do I AZ group deploy or something? Deployment create. Okay. So yeah, but that was validation first. I need to execute. What's this? That's the group. Awesome group. Let's see. Template file is a template.json. Okay, so now time for the truth. Run in terminal. Just to show there's no smoke and mirrors, there's nothing there. And if I go back here, it's running, which is a good thing, I would say. The art is to send a message in the future. So now it should be creating a resource. So if I go to deployments, look, it's creating a template. Wow, how cool is that? It's creating a template. Now what's inside is a template? It's awesome storage. Can you believe it? It is rolling out stuff. And I suppose I have my... There we go, ladies and gentlemen. there's a resource group, awesome group, with a storage account that has been added using a YAML file. That looks like that. So how does that compare to the one that how can we make this better? Because one thing that still sort of bothers me is, why can't I use tabs to signify cries of happiness in Spanish? Why can't I use tabs instead of spaces? That's that. What is that now? That is that. We have that. We have that. Bear with me, I should actually have okay, now run this again. What will happen? It worked. Can you believe it? It is working. So now maybe let's do the same thing with okay, so how can we improve this? So version we cannot infer because of the type. So if we have a well-known types with version thingies into it, could we say that we can infer the location from the main resource of the parent? Or could we say that, how can we do this? Because I mean, this template here is really like simple. Did I say type is inferred? So we could say that, right? Even just to make sure. Let's run it and see what happens. It didn't break though. Created a type string, which is quite cool. That work if you create the resource group inside the template as well. How can you do that? Create a resource group inside a template. Otherwise, maybe pass the location as a parameter. That is an interesting idea. Yeah, sure, that's passing as a parameter, but I don't want to specify the location at all. I could infer the location as the following. I know what we'll do. I mustn't say hey, because it sounds like a church. In my case, it doesn't. Okay, so what do I have? This location of the resource is this, right? Almost there. But what we'll do is we'll infer this as the resource group the thing dot location. Can we do that? Can we do that? Is that valid, would you say? Because ultimately I don't want to do this. Even less, you know? Just deleting my JSON file to be absolutely 100% sure. that should run. Let's put on my JSON file, and look at that. So now do another deployment. And if it's all is good, I would see a deployment accepted. But it overrides the previous one, which is quite cool. Now I get rid of another one. So we could do the same for the version. We could have a, yes, exactly. So we could do this, have a kind of a lookup. Yeah, talking about the, yes. So what I'll do is maybe we'll have a type and have a version for each type built in. And if you don't specify the version, it infers it from the type. And I wonder if you can also infer default kinds, like storage v2. Is that even a thing? But let's do that quickly. Let's have a list. Let's have a list of how would I do this? Different API versions have different schemas and several values allowed. Now I understand, but if I can still specify it in my YAML, right? If I want specific things. But if I don't specify it, I would like to be using the correct one. So let's see if we can infer the type. So I think for this we would need a kind of a private variable or something. Say static string lookup. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Look up the API version, and we probably don't make it static because it's instance based. Oops, string, private string. Okay, and then we can say, for instance, if this could be static still, and this is the type. If string dot is null or empty, type for instance, then I want to infer it. So if we have a list of strings, how can we say private, I don't know, static dictionary of, can't really access a dictionary, probably can, dictionary of string and string, I would say, and then we have API or resource type API versions. What is the shorthand for the thing is now, can this work? Can I say, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can this work? Look like this, right? That's how you do a that? Or am I missing something? Let's see. Dictionary shorthand. Initialize dictionary shorthand. Blah 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 blah. Okay. That's what I have, and that's fine. String looks fine. You know what this is? Is new dictionary string. There we go. That's much better. That is much better. We can control dot this one. Alright, so what do you have here? Okay. Great. Okay, now on the constructor, I can say yeah, this one's actually doesn't actually need it, I would say. I hope no, C# 8 was going to simplify that. What you mean the dictionary most probably, right? So let's see if it's not empty, the API version or something. API version. Then the API version should be, what is this API version? This one. Living on edge, man. Right, so what I'll do, I can say API version is then resource API versions, and that's the type. And that should resolve the kind of thing I want. Right, so my laugh is also not as funny because it's a delay. Let's see if we can infer this. So we can take the type out in total. Delete the JSON file to be 100% sure. Run this file. Value cannot be null. Type is null. I see. So that's on the constructor. This should actually be a getter and a setter. Yeah. Maybe like that. I have no idea what I'm doing. So if let's say return, but then it's actually looking up all the time, which is not a bad thing. I don't know how performant it can be, but fine. So if it is not empty, probably have a private string API version kind of thing going on here. So if API version is not null or empty, return that thing, otherwise return API version. And when you set it, API version is value. I could even set, instead of reading it, I'm setting it kind of in a way. So I could infer this whole thing. Maybe that's better. Potato right, isn't it? Let's add like this. So if it's null or empty, I want to set. Can I assign the value? What's this? Can I do that? Of course I can. I can do anything. That's interesting because I can assign the value. Yeah, I can say API version is value, right? Yeah, I can just return the value. That should kind of work, I think. Thank you very much, Andrew, for joining me. Hope to see you again. Thank you very much for listening, I would say. Okay, so now we have a JSON file. It did not infer the version, which is a bit bad, but in any case. So let's see. Maybe it's better on get, I suppose. This doesn't even get called. Nope, it does not get called, so back to the drawing board. Doing this. Because I think this is the much better way of doing it. Now if I run this, I should be getting a JSON file with a version. Can you believe it? Okay, so that's inferred, which is cool. Now another thing I want to do is just quickly check out what do I have here. Where is my Edge browser? Going back to my storage account or resource, they said that, let me see, the resource has a skew and a kind. It has a skew and a kind. So is that, that's not really, skew is not compulsory. So what will happen if I how can I infer the name? I can actually do a lot of things here. The same way I infer the version, I could infer the kind and the skew, most probably, because it kind of falls back on a on a default, I suppose. Question is, would we want that? The nice thing is, this is more declarative because we define things. I still think this is better than this. It's shorter and better. Let's see. I've been streaming for 2 hours now, and hopefully everything still looks fine. Just quickly doing a check. Okay. Alright, so I suppose if we can make this better to infer these things, because specifying kind all the time, it's also not really what we want. This is quite cool. I have this. The next thing I want to do is I want to see if I can find a YAML schema on YAML intelligence, maybe? Intelligence, I think I saw that somewhere. YAML, does it include? Let's see, do I install this YAML? That's cool. That's the one I want. So this is what I want. So it has YAML support. And how does it work? It detects with the fat YAML. Okay. So I can detect formatter, okay, single quote bracket, validate. Let's see. You can use new defined blah blah. Okay, so YAML schema applies to a schema file. In other words, the schema placed on the left is applied to the clock pattern on the right. Schema can be local or online. Schema must be a relative path and not an absolute path. I see. Can I do that? Will that work? That's cool. Let's go to preferences, settings. Find that setting. That will not edit in there, which I don't want. I want to edit it in line, man. Workspace setting. Yes, 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 this is what I want. So, going back to the store, to this thing. I want it to do validation on okay, so now does all the cool. So that should work, right? So if I go like that, and if I point this now to a, get this, if I point this now to a schema file, like a deployment template, like that, everything should light up, right? Or not? Am I missing the boat? It's reload required. They say I need to reload. Nothing's happening yet. Hey, look at that. Look at that. That is fantastic. That is fantastic, man. Fantastic. So I have, what do I have here? Missing schema, missing content version, which is okay, which is missing here, location. Okay, so the valid values is storage or block storage. And I suppose if I do this, do I get IntelliSense? No, I don't. Condition true false, that's quite cool. That's the only thing now, so I could do a lot of inferences, or I can make my own template. But that's maybe for something later, because this is missing a type, which is inferred. This is missing a schema and a content version. This is missing an API version and a location, which is inferred. So inferences, that's a good thing, but also yet again, it's can be quite hectic. So I'm actually pretty glad about this guy. Nothing broke, I suppose. JSON, that's valid JSON. And if we do, what was that? Yeah. Editor. Hopefully that will work. That is deploying. It's no such file. Template.json. That is weird because it's in editor. Let's say control dot or something. What's it? Control K. Does that run? Oh, oops. Okay, not to work. So that will create a deployment. Hopefully. Yes. Which will be accepted. Which will run, which is kind of cool, but it's not this. Okay, so maybe I can just turn this off for now because it's going to annoy me. So now I do have my resources. So what we'll do is we'll extend our API to underlyingly call out to AZ, so .NET AZ, something like .NET AZ deploy, and give it a YAML file like that, and it should take this, deploy this, and roll it out, I would say. Or should we infer that the inference is not a very necessarily good thing? So this we can execute the thing by PowerShell, or we can use AZ deploy. And I have a strong preference for AZ deploy. But in any case, let us call it a night. It's been 2 hours and 11 minutes. Thank you guys for joining me. I think this is a good POC. Let's actually just quickly check this into source control. I need to find, did I make a clone of that somewhere? Dev. No. Let's quickly clone it, make a branch, and then we can maybe merge it back in or something. I'll just clone it. Clone it here or something. That's easy. There we go. And then we'll do an awesome URL inside of .NET AZ. Just stick that thing in there. Skip that log files. Include these things, can go away. Alright, so let's keep these things, and we say cd AR, awesome ARI AZ or .NET AZ, git add, git commit, edit YAML, and git push. I need my username, which is that, and my password, which is that. Alright, folks, that should be in source control now. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for giving feedback. What you guys think? This was quite a cool session. Creating a YAML file, creating a JSON from a very, very read friendly YAML file, and deploying it out using Azure AZ for Azure Resource Manager. It is time for me to go to bed. Have a good night, and I suppose I have to